was working on my no waste feeder. I had a Farm Babies feeder, watched the video and how I modified it and showing people how to do it. But as I was doing it, I had this idea on how to make my own no waste feeder from containers and stuff we throw away. And you know what? After kind of playing around and stuff, I've got an idea. And I think it's going to work.
So we've got the old Miracle Whip. Then I started playing with lids and other stuff. And then I found an old turtle wax thing. Yeah, I mean, it's used for, I was storing stuff in it. And what I found was this fits, well, you know what? Let me just flip it over. This fits right around there. It gives just enough room for some little baby quail to pick some food. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this and very, very, very carefully cut this down to maybe about a 1/2 inch.
All right, this is the only thing I could find a 1/2 inch. The only thing I don't like is I've got that blade sticking out of here. Got to be mindful. But I shortened it over here. And you'll notice I'm not making it, like straight with the board. I'm putting a little angle on it. But let's try this again. Cut this down to a 1/2 inch. Now we're talking. See right there, that 1/2 inch? Because this lid has a little bit of a bubble up too. So right here. And this fits over there just about perfect. So now that 1/2 inch gets it right at the bottom of, we'll just say it, the Miracle Whip food container. Now I can get me some slots cut in that, which, man, I've only got one of these, so if I mess it up, I'm gonna have to eat a lot of Miracle Whip. Hey, but at least it's 50% less sodium and cholesterol. So I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna mark this, and as you can see, setting that razor like that and very slowly trimming it gave me a perfect cut around this. All right, so there's a bunch of polka dots, but let's go over what I've done here. I put a dot here, dot straight across. Then I did a dot here, dot straight across. I basically made an X with these 4 dots. Then I just, to be honest with you, I grabbed this. It's right at about 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches. Actually, I should probably, maybe check that for accurate. Yeah, 1.5 inches, I was right. But anyway, and then I centered it and I put 2 marks here to here. And I'm gonna leave this section, this section, this section, and this section for stability, because I have a feeling this is gonna be pretty flimsy. But then what I did is I took my marker and marked between the dots right here, and then we've got our next set of marks right here and right here. Put that down, and then basically kind of set my marker pretty much touching and draw a good line all the way around. And we'll go to our next ones. Give us a little mark we can see. There's another mark here we can see. And put the pen basically touching the ground or the marker. Bam. And now what that's done there, believe it or not, that's given me exactly 1/8 from the bottom to the top of that mark. And that's exactly how much of a hole we want for our food ports. Now, I'm gonna try my soldering iron first, because what I was thinking, as it heats, when I've heated plastic with it, makes the plastic roll. And I'm hoping doing that, it's going to give it a little bit more stability on the feed ports. I'm going to try this on one of them, and we'll see how this plastic heats up and melts. But hey, you never know if you don't try. All right, so I got to do this like really, really, really fast and not burn myself. You ever get nervous? Like, man, I'm really going to mess this up good. And gotta do it fast, gotta do it fast, gotta do it fast. Nice and smooth. And it's opening the hole up to the top a little bit more than what I wanted. But that's okay. What that tells me is I need to start at the bottom of this line because it's heating and it's opening. It's working. And I guess I could go ahead and push it in there a little bit more and get the hole opened up to right at about 1/8. Gonna have to go back and do the other ones. That's perfect. See, it heated that bottom and it rolled it down. I'm gonna have to trim that off. See, I should have just done it with this small one. I'm just kind of putting the tip in there really fast. Now I'm going to go back and try to open this up some more. Yeah, it didn't make it roll as bad. That's okay. Yeah, doing it a little bit and then going back and finishing it was the way to go. Instead of trying to make it all up, I'm trying to do it too fast. Slow down. Get this one. And I'll be darned, that that worked pretty good, and it's pretty. I'm gonna tell you what, I should have only done about 1 inch here because that's really stable. I think heating the plastic is adding a lot of stability right there. So we're going to go ahead and do something I love doing, and that's freehanding this. Take my time, come over just a little bit more right there. It gives me about 1/2 inch. Come here and about 1/2 inch. And here. About 1/2 inch. About 1/2 inch. And that's all right. If I had marked it all the same, done it at one time, it would have worked really well. And it would have made things a little bit more uniform looking. You know, this ain't pretty, but I tell you what, I believe it's going to work well. All right, so what I'm not liking is the way the bottom's rolled. I think I'm going to take the razor knife off because it's rolled towards the inside on the bottom. that's gonna slow down feed flow. So I'm gonna trim some of that off with a razor knife. All right, so the first thing I do is I'm gonna take my knife and just kind of skim the bottom where it's rolled. As it rolls down as well. Take my time and not crack this. Yeah, and it's really brittle. Then, my razor knife in here, and just work it very, very carefully. Take some of this edge. All right, so I ran my Dremel around the bottom. See that right there, smoothed it out. Then I took my razor knife and kind of trimmed the inside and angled it down and took some of the edge off to keep the feed flowing. I tell you what, I think this is gonna work pretty doggone good. Just gotta go rinse this out. But that gives you just that little bit right down there at the bottom. Just enough for them to peck and get their own food. Now the next question is, I could just like hot glue this to this, but I do kind of want to be able to take this base off and clean it. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put me a screw right there in the bottom. Oh yeah, you can see that really nice. See those are pretty even considering it's free-handed. So I took my soldering gun. It was still just warm enough. Put a hole dead center there. I'm really hoping that factory center is right. Then right there, I put another hole right there, factory center. Those are like their molding marks. So now, I'm gonna pray this is all gonna line up. And I'm gonna get me a very, very small screw and attach this to this. All right, I went in and washed everything really good. Scrubbed this. I went ahead and got the paper off this, or the label. So what we're gonna do, we've got a little bitty tiny screw. I'll go ahead and get this started in the bottom here, if I can. Oh man, I'm really hoping everything's gonna line up good. Oh man, that's really not wanting to go in there. There we go. Got that in there, a little bit of plastic. Now I'm gonna back that out. Wipe some of that off. That plastic off of it. Now we're gonna pray this goes through to here. I don't know if that screw's long enough. Yeah, it is. That's perfect. That is perfect. I mean, just catches it too. That's awesome. That little bitty screw just catches the bottom and barely comes through. Like, and guess what? Everything is centered. That is awesome. And I realized something. Oh no, I messed my label up. That's all right. If you've seen my other videos, I use a stacking system. And this, I can make an insert that will recess into the bottom of this. Because check this out. Bam. Sits right on there. I mean, check this out. Crumble's working. I just poured it in there. And it's feeding just great here. I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna there. Check this out. It's feeding. Oh, that spot's not feeding that great. Yeah. Gonna have to open that up just a little bit. And that's cool. But everywhere else, the feed is flowing. That is awesome. So, trash around the house. Take 20 minutes, make you a no-waste feeder. Now, the one big thing that made these like perfect is just, let's just get some measurements right there. You see that? I think you can see it. 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. Little area to eat. Why 1/2 inch? Because when they're little bitty, it makes it harder for them to get in here. Can they get up here? Yes. But it makes them hard. It makes it harder to. And something like I would put this down for the first few hours. And if you've watched my other videos, I've got these really cool things. Let me grab them. I made these little pedestals for my feeders to go on. Let me pop this one off. But I made these little pedestals and they all stack together, and I don't stack them that high. But what happens, bam, sets on there perfect. So guess what? They're 3 days old. You raise it up 3/4, and this only has a 1/2 inch lip on it. And they can reach up here, and it's perfect height for them to peck at this food. I've showed that several times, my food waste experiments, but right now, I'm just tickled to have made a no waste feeder. And what's bad is I'm tapping it, and it's very slowly feeding out because I made that slot right at about an 1/8. This one right here, I need to take just a little bit more off of it. I mean, probably a 1/16. All right, so I wanted to get this flowing a little bit better. So what I did, as you can see here, I cut, that's right about an 1/8, but right here it's about 3/16. I ended up taking my Dremel because 2 sides weren't flowing good. So I just took a little bit off, and just took my time, put some feed in it, tested it. And it really didn't take me about 10 or 15 minutes to really clean this up. You know, it was a cool idea to, to use this, and it got the hole started and got it going. And I like the fact that it rolled the plastic and gave it a little bit more stability than what it has now. But ultimately, taking my Dremel and taking my time and just taking off a little bit at a time, really opened up the feed ports and gave me consistent flow. So let me show you. All right, so when you first fill it up, it just shoots out pretty consistently, but it doesn't overfill. I mean, you can see that it gave me just a nice smooth layer of feed, and it didn't completely fill the little feed tray up right here. But what's gonna happen here is I'm gonna wipe the food out of the way. It's like, if I was a chicken, I was eating it. And if you see here, it's not just pouring out, but if you sit here and you start kind of picking at it a little bit, it flows out really. They can just pick at it and make them get the food versus this staying full all the time and them just throwing it everywhere. And it flows pretty good. Man, my glove's not getting in here. I need something. Yeah, this will work. But right in here, they're picking at it. They're picking at it. I mean, I'm barely even touching this. I mean, you can see I'm just touching the food there, and it gets a little bit of flow. And just like in my green feeder that I made, restricting the flow of feed keeps them from wasting it. And you can see there's enough pushing down that it's going to self-flow, but it's not going to fill this tray up. Yes, I mean, I tap on it and it's coming right out. So having right at about a 3/16 slot right in here really is perfect for crumble. Just pull it out. But I mean, you give it a little shake and it's flowing very evenly. So it worked. Took a little bit more time. I mean, I made it really fast. Little fine tuning. And you know something? I have a really good self-feeding, no waste feeder for baby quail. Now, I'm going to make another one. All right, did a little bit more work to this. And where I heated it up, it rolled the plastic on the bottom, and it was actually catching the feed. So I took off I went in there and I kind of nicked some of that off. And ever since I did that, it seems to be flowing a lot better. You know, I mean, they can get in here and peck, and as they're pulling feed, I just want a little bit to come out at a time. That's actually flowing really good right there, a lot. But that is working really well, as you can see. You know, it's junk. I mean, this is stuff we throw away, lids, and you can turn it into a no-waste feeder. You know, just notch you out about a 3/16 slot, and voila. You know, I heated the bottom, made a little bit of a concaved bottom on this to help push the feed out to the outside. The only thing I can say, I kind of like this one a little bit more because it's clear and it does have the larger lid. This one you can't really see. I mean, you can kind of see in there. You can't, it's in the film, but you got to put a light up to it. And it's got this really small hole. Will this work? Yes. Next mayo jar I get, I'm probably going to save it, reuse this bottom, and make me another one out of this. Or if I run across another clear container. I just like it. You can see the feed, see how low it's getting. But this works really well. And guess what? This would actually hold more feed than this one because it's a bigger container. But guys, I hope you enjoy it. I hope this inspires you to be, you know, take some junk and make a no-waste feeder out of it for your baby quail or chickens. You know, you got chicks too. But like, subscribe, try it out, see how it works. Take your time, you know, play with it a little bit, get your feed flow right. Not too much, but just enough. We're going to test out our homemade mayo jar feeder that I made. I don't have a cover on this one, but we're going to see how they do with it and see how much waste it produced over just today. And that way people can see that you can make a no-waste feeder with this system for baby chicks. Kraft Mayo homemade chick feeder. And as you can see here, they've been chowing. I cut some slots in the bottom, got another lid, cut it down, and made a feeder. And it's doing a pretty good job, you know, with the food containment box around it. It's holding all the food in here. And it's actually flowing really well. As you can see, it's staying full, which is quite impressive. But we're going to come back and check on it here in a couple hours and see how it's doing. So this little feeder worked really well. I mean, it stayed flowing the entire time, but there was a little trick to get that to do that, which kind of came to mind with my stands. As you notice, it doesn't have a big bevel on the bottom, but what I did is this. I put the insert, and what happened was, as it's on the insert, and they're kind of pecking at it, it allows it to kind of toggle and move. That way, it's not sitting flat and on a hard surface, so when they were pecking and eating, it kept the food flowing really well. It's been working all day. So this right here is the cheapest feeder for baby chicks you can make because it's made out of trash and it works. So I'm gonna be holding on to this for large hatches, and I'm not gonna buy another feeder. This will be, I'm actually gonna make another one of these, and with the other two modified feeders that I've made, it works really well.